All right, here we go. Roger Wallace, color analyst, UT football. Been with us many times. Appreciate his time. Busy week. A lot of news today, Raj. Official with Quinn Ewers among the defensive backs, Catalina and Crawford, the offensive line, who had guys who had missed a little bit last week against Kansas State. They're healthy enough to play. Maybe one of the more positives as far as updates that they've had in quite some time.
Yeah, kind of feast or famine. David, all back and apparently ready to go. You know, Sark didn't even get asked that today at his availability. He offered up the Quinn Ewers news right away, which is interesting. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they can do with a full roster and everybody healthy as they head up to Fort Worth.
Roger, do you think that part of this with Quinn coming back, even though they might necessarily need him to win games, and they won without him, but is about maybe not putting Maalik Murphy in a position where he has to be the difference in a game?
Well, the timing works out pretty well because, you know, Murphy got the two home games. I also think I don't think they want it to be a savior situation with Quinn Ewers where let's go with Maalik, and if we need Quinn Ewers, we'll bring him in. I think that I don't know if that sends a great message for a number of reasons. So I think it's strictly that he's ready to go and kind of nothing more, nothing less. Now, to your point, if Murphy didn't have some of the struggles he had in the two games, then maybe they give Ewers another week before they go up to Ames. But, I mean, he's had some turnover issues, and it is on the road, and we know what's at stake. So I think all those things considered, that's the decision. But I don't think they would put Ewers out there if he didn't think he was ready to go because, I mean, he's going to have to absorb some hits. I don't think it's unrealistic to think he's going to go hit-free. Although, you know, guys, I've been thinking, I don't think Maalik Murphy's been hit in his two games. It's pretty remarkable that, how clean of the pocket or how quickly he got the ball. He never took a hit.
I know UT fans will all scream the answer immediately, but let's say there was a game or two, or let's say there were 4 games left. Ewers couldn't come back. Maalik Murphy was who he was. Was there any chance whatsoever they ever would have turned to Arch Manning?
I don't think so because of the things that they saw that Maalik Murphy can do on the positive side. And while he did throw the pick, some of the other issues that got that game flipped were not on him. They fail in a red zone 4th down situation. He's not part of the play. The block punt leads to the quick touchdown and gets K-State back in it. He's had a couple turnovers, but Quinn Ewers has had some turnovers this year too. So he made enough plays, I think, to give them confidence that he can do it. Sure, the concern is, knowing when to throw the ball in the second row rather than try to make a play. But I think he's done enough positive that they would stick with a guy that's played 2 games and a quarter in the Big 12.
He was put in a tough situation. A team ranked high, a team that's wanting to win a Big 12 title or play for one, maybe a college football playoff. I thought being as young, raw as he was, he handled it pretty well despite the picks.
Yeah, and I think that's right, David. I think that's good because the picks were so glaring, especially the one on the screen. That's what you kind of remember. But let's remember the way he started those 2 games. He was really good, and he was doing something that they didn't do other than the Alabama game. They haven't done much, and that's get over the top, get the deep ball, get those quick scores with A.D. Mitchell in the last 2 games. So I think a lot of his good has been clouded a little bit by some glaring mistakes.
Roger, last week they got a scare. They've had a couple of different scares. Houston was a scare. How do you feel like they've navigated that? And does it scare you that they get scares, or is that just part of it with this team?
Yeah, I think it scares. I think it scares a lot of people because they were games that they were in control. When you think about the issue at Houston, I mean, they look like they were going to run away and hide and just suck the life out of Houston. And then, all of a sudden it's tied, your quarterback's out. And then you look at K-State and again, kind of the same situation. You're up 17-0. You're trying to go in and add to that again. And so I think that's the scary part for Texas is the fact that they've let leads slip away. But I mean, they love the way they handled Alabama when they had the lead, lost the lead late in the third, and then came back and won it. And obviously OU was the other situation where they were behind, had to fight back, and then, of course, OU had that drive. So, but yeah, I don't think they want it feels a little bit like, okay, we've seen a pattern here that does make you uncomfortable if you're a Texas fan or a Texas someone on in the program.
So, Rod, you're doing the game. It's in overtime. Texas settles for the field goal. 19-yard pass on the opening play of the overtime with Howard to the tight end Sinnott. Do you feel like there's no doubt they're going to score like on the next play or two with some sort of a quarterback draw or whatever?
Yeah, I said it, David. I said they're going to run Howard, and sure enough, first play they do, doesn't get anything, and then the two passes, one gets deflected, one was just off the mark and into coverage. But yeah, I mean, how could you not the way they were moving the ball and 6 yards? And I thought 3 plays to get 6 yards. I never dreamt that the way Texas was a little wobbly on offense, that Chris Kleiman wouldn't try to just take it to a second overtime. I know he said afterwards he wouldn't hesitate doing it again, but again, yeah, I thought, boy, that first hit down to the 6, they've got so many different options on offense. I figured, yeah, that it's pretty realistic to think they were going to punch it in.
Roger, what scares you the most about TCU?
Texas mistakes. I think they've proven that they're good enough when they're clean that they can win these games and do it in a not comfortable fashion, but a solid fashion. But when things start going sideways, it's usually them giving the ball up. Penalties have been an issue in ball games, but I think if they line up and they have no turnovers and the penalties are at a minimum, unless TCU just goes crazy on offense, I think the turnovers and the penalties is what would scare me for Texas going up there and getting beat.
Yeah, and we've said this, that the Houston game, and again, different people the last 5, 8, 9, 10 years, but that's a game, or last week is a game they lose in the last 8 to 10 years, right? That's the one that they would burp. And then you're like, what the hell happened? And maybe lose both of them. That's kind of who they've been. Says a lot about maybe that grit that they have this year.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've been here long enough to go through that stretch with Mac where this is how they won so many of those games. They figured it out. I know I bring up some nightmares with you, David, but against Nebraska.
Yep.
I mean, they just found ways to beat them, and they shouldn't have, and a fumble in the snow and a walk-on kicker and things like that. And then all of a sudden it went sideways the other way where it just seemed like they found ways to lose. And now you're starting to see a little bit of a shift back to, in these close games, they seem to be able to make 1 or 2 or 3 more plays to get on the right side of it. So it is kind of an interesting momentum shift with what they're doing this season. And we saw glimpses of it last year, and we certainly saw glimpses of it. Let's not forget, Tom Herman won 10 games in 2018 and beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So we've seen glimpses, but we haven't seen the consistency, which is why they've played for one Big 12 championship since 2009.
In your gut, is Quinn Ewers back at Texas next year?
No. The only reason I say that is because I think that then the plan gets turned a little bit upside down. And I know we've talked a lot about, okay, what if he's gone? Then who's the guy? And I can't answer that. I don't know. I'm sure when the season started, they had an idea of the plan, but they also didn't know that Maalik Murphy would play and win 2 games. Let's not forget he won those. He was the winning quarterback in those 2 games. And so he's got experience. But if Quinn's back, then anything's on the table, as you guys certainly know in this day and age of college football.
Roger, thanks for giving us time, young man. As always, appreciate you. Love what you do. Have fun in Fort Worth at Amon Carter, and we'll talk again soon. Have a great weekend.
Right on, guys. Take care. Thanks.
Roger Wallace, color analyst with Craig Way on the Texas radio broadcast. And for some, I've said this.